Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flame Entertainment and Sports. It's going to be a recap of episode 5 of season 10 of Bachelor in Paradise. Wanted to make sure to give my thoughts on it as we've been recapping the season so far. You know, it was another drama filled episode. It was an episode with no rose ceremony, actually, so that was kind of surprising. I thought there would definitely, be a rose ceremony at some point in the episode. But yeah, we had drama once again with Dale and Kat. You know, last week, episode 4, we had that whole drama where Kat asked Dale if he kissed Ali Joe, and he said yes, but Dale kind of got ticked off by that question, and you know we all know what happened. Ultimately, Kat decided to still give the rose to Dale, and they moved on together once again. And in this episode, the whole new drama was due to a new person coming in, Allyshia from Grant season. She came in, and it seemed like her and Dale really hit it off. And yeah, a lot of drama happened. And basically, so there was this game that they did where each of the guys had to like dress up in these different types of costume. And basically, though, the only girl that came out in a costume, she was a new arrival, was Allyshia during that game. And basically, we saw right away that her and Dale had eyes for one another. They kind of connected that night. Then, as time went on, we saw Dale having a conversation with some of the guys saying that he was hoping that, Allyshia would ask him on a date to make Kat sweat a little bit. And then Jonathan brought that up to Kat, in regards to what Dale said. And then, of course, Kat got, upset about it. Then Dale tried to turn it into a thing where he was saying that Jonathan was trying to, like, disrupt Dale and Kat's connection. So ultimately, once again, it was just like the second episode in a row where Dale kind of did something a little questionable, and someone else who was involved in some sort of drama, not directly, not as direct as Dale and Kat, because his partner doesn't know about it, was Jeremy. We hear him back in the room during a point in this episode. We hear him talking to Bryan and telling him that he doesn't want to win this with Bailey, and he thought that his microphone was turned off, but the mic was still on. And we all heard it. But ultimately, throughout these last couple episodes, we see that that Jeremy's been all over Bailey and super like lovey-dovey with her. And then we hear him tell Bryan that he doesn't want to win with her because he still wishes that Susie was there, and he would love to be with Susie and not with Bailey. So that was another thing in terms of drama that happened within this episode. And then with the Goldens, we had Gary once again. He's 2 episodes in, and he was on another date once again. He has 3 different women, or 4 actually. Is it 3 or 4 that want to be with him? First it was him and Leslie went on the date last episode. Then we saw Natasha gave her rose to Gary. And then in this episode, we had Nancy take Gary on a one-on-one date. And yeah, ultimately, it's going to be interesting at the rose ceremony who Gary gives his rose to, because the men are going to have the roses in the coming rose ceremony in episode 6 next Monday night. So yeah, that was some of the drama that kind of went down. Another date we had in this episode was between Leah, who came in on episode 4. She took Jonathan on a date. And, I thought it was pretty cool, but I felt more friendship vibes. I didn't really feel any romantic type of vibes between Leah and Jonathan. And for some reason, I feel like Jonathan ultimately, he's been able to stick around, but ultimately, we all know he hasn't really been able to form a true connection. I just feel like his person hasn't been on Paradise. I feel like every time I see Jonathan having a conversation, it just feels like a friendship type of thing. So it's just an interesting thing to look at. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. I'm guessing ultimately Jonathan will probably give his rose to Leah in the next rose ceremony, because they did hit it off, like, in like they got along and had a good time. But yeah, I don't really feel a romantic type of thing. Another thing that happened, or topic in terms of drama in this episode, was we had Bryan and Parisa, one opportunity to stay in a suite together, and ultimately it didn't go as planned for Parisa, I would say. We see them get into the suite. They have their own little personal like pool. They get inside of the pool, and then Parisa just asks Jonathan like, "Oh, what's your favorite color?" So I guess she just wants to learn like little things about him. And then that question for some reason like ticked off Bryan, and he's like, I don't want to talk about that. This is dumb. Basically like kind of blowing it off. And then we see them the following morning. We see them eating breakfast together, and you could tell that Parisa isn't like super comfortable around Bryan, and Bryan is kind of like playing it off like nothing happened the night before. And then we hear her in ITMs and, talking to some of the other women the following day that things didn't really go too good and she's not really feeling it right now with Bryan. I said it a couple episodes ago that I didn't think this couple would last. I just wasn't really feeling it. Ultimately, we'll see what happens. I'm guessing Bryan is still going to give his rose to Parisa. We'll see ultimately if she does accept it, on the next episode on Monday night. But yeah, so it was a very drama filled episode of Bachelor in Paradise. I wanted to make sure to at least give some thoughts on it, prior to Monday night's episode coming out. So yeah, if you guys want to share your thoughts with me, make sure to hit us up on Instagram, at TikTok at the flame_es. It was another great episode of Paradise. A lot of drama. As the season goes on, there's more and more drama. Then next week we're gonna see that everything's gonna change and it's gonna become kind of like a competition show type of thing. You're gonna be whoever you're partnered up with. Basically, you're gonna have a chance to compete for $500,000. I believe is the grand prize at the end of it. So it's definitely gonna create an interesting dynamic. It's definitely gonna lead to a lot more drama due to the competitiveness of certain people in order to try to capture that prize of $500,000 at the end of the show. So yeah, a lot of drama is gonna come. We've seen it in the previews. We've seen Bryan in the previews wanting to call out Jeremy about the whole Susie thing. I won't be shocked if he ends up telling Bailey that Jeremy's still into Susie, and that's just some of the drama we saw in the previews. But ultimately we'll see what happens. I feel like I'm guessing episode 6 on Monday might be the final rose ceremony we see this season. I feel like after that, it's going to turn into the whole competition show type of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see this whole new dynamic of Paradise. But I think it's a good idea because ultimately this has been great. But I don't know if you could do a whole season of your typical Paradise, because I feel like a whole season will be kind of boring. So this is going to create more excitement. It's going to, some of the contestants, we might see them acting differently or talking differently because ultimately some of them are just going to be focused on capturing the money rather than, trying to capture a relationship. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this season 10, episode 5 recap of Bachelor in Paradise. And until next time, everyone, take care.